Picture this. It's the summer of 2003. A man named Dale Brewster drives his truck out to the absolute middle of nowhere, right on the desolate edge of California's Salton Sea. He gets out, walks straight into the murky, toxic water, and is literally never seen again. But the very next morning, some local fishermen stumble upon a waterproof bag tied to a nearby dock, and inside, 47 handwritten pages. Now, initially, the sheriff's office just logged it as a standard suicide note, but actually they were completely wrong. Dale didn't leave behind a confession about what he had done. No, he left a meticulously detailed, deeply chilling log of what he had seen.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we are taking a massive deep dive into a frankly bizarre and deeply unsettling piece of documentary evidence known as the Salton Sea Confessions. We're going to break down Dale's 47 pages, map out the timeline, and see exactly how his seemingly impossible claims intersect with heavily guarded public records.
But first, to really understand Dale's confession, we kind of need to ground ourselves in the unnatural reality of the area. As you probably know, the Salton Sea shouldn't even exist in the first place. It was accidentally created by a Colorado River canal break way back in 1905. And it had this crazy trajectory. It went from this glamorous, booming resort destination in the 1950s straight into an absolute toxic decline by the 2000s, which is right when Dale lived there. We're talking rising salinity, agricultural runoff, rust-red algae blooms, and beaches literally carpeted with rotting fish bones. It had transformed into this ghost town of abandoned motels and boarded-up churches. And it's exactly within that decaying, isolated landscape that we hit this extremely grim data point, 28. To put that number into perspective, between 1990 and 2015, at least 28 unidentified human remains were recovered from the waters, the shoreline, or the surrounding desert of the Salton Sea. Now, sure, some of those were listed as drownings or exposure, and a few were officially ruled homicides, but the vast majority simply never identified. That is the dark, isolated world Dale was operating in, and it's absolutely crucial context for what he was trying to document.
So you're probably wondering, who exactly was Dale Brewster? Because honestly, if he had just been some internet conspiracy theorist or a known eccentric, it would be so easy to just brush these pages off. But he wasn't. Dale was a 54-year-old former environmental contractor. The guy spent his entire career working on heavy-duty cleanup sites, dealing with industrial contamination, chemical spills, groundwater testing, the whole shebang. Meaning he was professionally trained to observe and document work sites with total precision. He wasn't prone to flights of fancy. He wrote down hard facts. He listed dates, exact times, compass bearings, and precise distance measurements from fixed landmarks. He documented his surroundings the exact same way a forensic investigator would.
In fact, his neighbor, Gloria Rios, pretty much hit the nail on the head when local reporters asked about him. She called him the most normal, boring man I had ever met. She mentioned how he kept these hyper-meticulous records of literally everything. His truck mileage, his weekly grocery spending, even the daily ambient temperature. He had these little notebooks stacked all the way to the ceiling. And you know, it's that stark contrast between his completely ordinary, precise nature and the absolute insanity of his final log that makes his confession so terrifying. When you read it, he doesn't sound like a man losing his grip on reality. He writes exactly like a contractor logging an active industrial site.
Okay, so what exactly did he write down? Well, Dale tracked a highly bizarre pattern of activity over roughly 14 months, stretching from early 2002 to the summer of 2003. He was watching a desolate stretch of the southern shore that he just casually referred to as the inlet. No homes there, no docks, just cracked dry mud. But over this period, he methodically documented 11 separate incidents. And here's what he saw. Abandoned trucks mysteriously appearing precisely in the pre-dawn hours, always between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. The vehicles were always pointed directly toward the water, the engines were still warm, but there was absolutely no one around. And without fail, by the time the sun came up, the trucks were gone.
Now, at first, Dale figured this was just illegal dumping. I mean, that was super common out there anyway. But then, he jotted down a sensory detail that completely changed his mind. He described a very specific smell in the air. He wrote, "Not the lake smell, not the fish smell, something older, like wet pennies and turned earth." And because of his career background, Dale recognized the scent instantly. It was the distinct metallic smell he always associated with severe contamination sites. It's the smell of something deeply buried that has just recently been violently disturbed and dug up. Which brings us to the absolute climax of his journal in March of 2003.
Dale is hiding behind a concrete pylon at 3 a.m., and he watches three men in dark clothing pull a long, wrapped bundle out of a truck. He describes it like a rolled-up carpet with a strangely shaped end. They carry it right down to the waterline. But here's the crazy part. They don't throw it in. They literally just stand there in a loose circle and wait for exactly 40 minutes. And then, the water starts to move. But not from the wind. Dale notes a pressure releasing from below, bulging the surface of the water upward by 18 inches in this massive 10-foot circle. And then, something reaches up through that bulge, grabs the bundle, and pulls it down. The men turn around, get in the truck, and just drive away. Dale even noted in the margins that his normally neat handwriting became huge and shaky in this section, because he had just watched an impossible entity pull a human-sized bundle into the deep.
Now, if that was the end of the story, you'd probably just assume Dale finally cracked under the isolation. But this is where things cross the line from strange campfire fiction into heavily documented reality. Let's look at the timeline. March 2003. Dale's journal details the disposal of that strange bundle at the inlet. Exactly 1 month later, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department acts on an anonymous tip, searches that exact same stretch of southern shoreline, and officially recover what they describe on record as materials consistent with human remains. The corroboration here is just stunning. But you want to know what's even more alarming? Within 72 hours of that grim discovery, the local police case was suddenly transferred to an undisclosed federal agency, and the entire file was sealed from the public. Forever.
Right after that event, the final 5 pages of Dale's log take a massive, jarring shift in tone. The detached, scientific investigator totally vanishes, and he's replaced by a man absolutely crushed by paranoia. See, he realized the men driving those trucks weren't just random strangers. He actually identified one of them as being an official from the water board. Dale had attended a nearby public town hall meeting and spotted the guy sitting there. According to Dale's notes, the official looked directly across the crowded room, locked eyes with Dale for a long, heavy moment, and just smiled. Dale wrote, "He didn't threaten me. He didn't need to." The smile said everything. It said, "We know you've been watching." It said, "It doesn't matter." From there, the cover-up kicks into high gear almost immediately. Dale gets desperate. He tries to get anyone to listen. He contacts the county sheriff, he writes letters to 2 state representatives, and finally, he reaches out to a local journalist named Patrice Hollander, someone who had previously covered illegal dumping in the area. They actually set up a time to meet, but Dale never shows up. Instead, just 3 weeks later, he walks into the Salton Sea and is gone. And it gets so much worse. Patrice Hollander later confided to her close friends that just 2 days after Dale vanished, she walked into her newspaper office to find that exactly one thing was missing from her desk: her specific, handwritten notes from her initial phone call with Dale Brewster. Everything else, completely untouched. Talk about a highly targeted theft to ensure total silence. So what happens if you go looking for Dale's 47 pages today? Well, you're gonna hit a massive brick wall. Back in 2019, an independent researcher who was studying the history of the Salton Sea filed a formal Freedom of Information request with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, specifically asking for the Brewster file. And the official response they got back was literally just a single, cold line. No records matching that description are on file. The entire existence of that evidence had been completely scrubbed from the system. Which circles us right back to Gloria Rios, the neighbor who honestly just thought Dale was the most boring guy in the world. Years later, in a 2011 interview with a documentary filmmaker, she revealed one final, really unsettling detail. The very morning before Dale vanished into those toxic waters, she saw him standing out on his porch before sunrise, just staring blankly out toward the lake. She waved at him like normal, but he didn't wave back. Instead, he just spoke his final words to her, very quietly. He said, "They know I wrote it all down." So that leaves us with the ultimate question. Where are those 47 pages today? Somewhere out there, maybe buried in a classified federal archive, sitting in an obscure county lockbox, or hey, maybe even at the bottom of a toxic lake, sits a precise, methodical contractor's log of the totally impossible. I really hope this explainer helped you grasp the fascinating layers of this alleged cover-up, and honestly, why institutional silence in bizarre places like the Salton Sea is just so unnerving. So what do you think actually took that bundle? If you got your own theories or maybe your own stories about this incredibly strange corner of California, definitely dive into the discussion. Keep questioning the world around you, and as always, thank you so much for learning with me today. Picture the